It's late, you're in bed, and the same 10 seconds of your day starts playing again like it's on a loop. You already know how it ends. You still can't stop watching it. Here's the part that's easy to miss. Your mind isn't replaying the problem because it's close to solving it. It's replaying because replaying feels like action. A small trigger shows up. A message. A look. A tone. A mistake that was barely a mistake. And your mind treats it like an emergency that needs an answer right now. So it replays. It checks. It rehearses. It reruns the conversation in the shower like there's going to be a new line this time. But the replay doesn't change the situation. It changes your energy. And when your energy drops, the problem starts to feel even bigger. So the loop feels even more necessary. Imagine a browser with 27 tabs open. You're trying to read one thing, and one tab keeps stealing focus every 10 seconds. Most people don't notice the moment they hand the keyboard back to that tab. They just feel the drain. There's a simple reset that helps, because it doesn't require the thought to disappear. It only requires one decision. Stop feeding it and touch real life. Step 1 is name the loop. The moment you notice the replay, the sentence is, "This is replay." Then the topic goes on paper in 5 words or less. It might be that text I sent. It might be meeting tone with my boss. It might be what I should have said. The effect is small, but immediate. The problem stops being the whole room. It becomes one object in the room. A person named Maya notices this most at night. She'll turn off the light, and right when her body finally feels heavy, her mind starts negotiating with her. Just think a little longer. Just get it right. Then you can sleep. When she writes that weird laugh moment on a note, something changes. Not the feeling, the posture. It's no longer infinite. Step 2 is cut the thread. Not the thought. The behavior that's keeping the thought alive right now. Checking. Rereading. Rehearsing. Scrolling. Mentally drafting the perfect message. Here's what happens. The loop usually has a fuel line attached to it, and the mind will call that fuel line being responsible. You reread the texts to make sure. You review your tone to learn from it. You search online to get clarity. And then 20 minutes later, you need it again. Cutting the thread is choosing one thing. No more checking for the next 10 minutes. No more rerunning the conversation while brushing your teeth. No more searching for the perfect explanation of why you feel this way. If you're thinking, but what if I miss something important? That's the loop, talking like a manager. Like everything is urgent. Like the cost of pausing is catastrophic. 1 is less than #0. 3 is greater than, it almost never is. Step 3 is reset on repeat. A 2-minute move that touches the real world. Not a grand solution. Not a life plan. A small contact with reality. Send one neutral message you can stand behind. Write one sentence in your notes. Next action is put one thing where it belongs. Walk to the kitchen and refill a glass of water. Open your calendar and place one reminder. The effect is not motivation. The effect is interruption. Your mind gets new input, and the loop loses a little authority. Maya tries this in the smallest way possible. She stands up, walks to the bathroom, and puts her phone face down on the counter. Then she writes, "Tomorrow, ask one question, not 10, and stops. She doesn't feel suddenly calm. She feels slightly less trapped. And that difference matters. Now let's get clear on why this loop is so sticky. One reason is that replaying feels like progress. It's mental motion, so it registers as effort. But effort and progress aren't the same thing. Another reason is the question your mind chooses. If the question is vague, the loop can run forever. Why am I like this? Has no finish line. Another reason is the feeding behaviors. Checking, rereading, rehashing, mentally rehearsing. Each one tells your mind, this topic deserves center stage. And another reason is waiting for a perfect answer before any action. If action requires certainty, you never move. And if you never move, the loop gets to claim it's still open. Notice what all of those have in common. They're not about intelligence. They're about what the mind does when it wants relief. Relief usually comes in two forms. Either you get a clear next step in the real world, or you get a feeling that you've covered the topic. Replay offers the second one, without the first. So you feel busy, but nothing shifts. Picture someone standing in front of a door, rattling the knob for an hour. They're not walking away. They're not finding the key. They're just rattling. It looks like effort. It's still stuck. Maya's loop tends to start with one specific move. She rereads. Not once, not twice. She rereads until the words lose meaning. Then she tries to remember exactly how she felt when she sent the message. Then she tries to predict how the other person felt reading it. Then she tries to draft the follow-up. That entire chain feels like preparation. It's actually the thread. There are a few common mistakes that keep this going, even for people who are otherwise very steady. One is trying to finish the thinking at night. The mind says, just close the loop before bed. So you stay awake, get less sleep, and wake up with less capacity, which makes the loop louder the next day. Another is arguing with the thought to make it go away. You try to prove it wrong. You try to reason it out. But arguing keeps the topic in the spotlight. It's still the main stage. And another is reassurance hunting. You ask a friend. You search online. You reread a thread. You feel better briefly. Then the system learns that reassurance is the reward, and it asks again. If any of that feels familiar, good. It means you're looking at a habit loop, not a personal flaw. A small shift that helps is trading "solve it in my head" for "manage what I do when it starts." That's the real control point. Now, 3 small cognitive micro tools. Each one is simple enough to use in the middle of a normal day. The first is the 5 objects cut. The signal is you notice the replay starting again, like the same sentence restarting in your head. The gesture is you look around and name 5 objects out loud, quietly if needed. Lamp, door, cup, chair, window. The visible consequence is your eyes move, your attention moves, and the loop loses some of its grip because you're back in the room, not in the rerun. The second is the next action sentence. The signal is the urge to figure it all out right now, like you can't move until you understand. The gesture is you write one sentence that starts with "next action is," and you make it physical and small. The visible consequence is you do only 2 minutes of it, then you stop on purpose. The loop doesn't get to demand a full resolution before you've even touched reality. The third is the jaw release draft. The signal is you catch yourself rehearsing a conversation, silently saying the same lines, tightening your face like you're back in it. The gesture is you close your mouth and let your jaw drop slightly. Then you draft one short line you'd actually say, not the perfect speech. The visible consequence is the rehearsal turns into a single usable sentence, and the rest of the mental performance has less reason to continue. One quiet question to keep nearby is this: is this thought producing a next step, or just producing more thought? Because the loop loves to impersonate problem solving. It uses the same voice. It uses the same seriousness. But real problem solving usually changes something outside your head. A message gets sent. A decision gets parked. A plan gets marked on a calendar. Even if it's small. Maya tries an experiment on a normal Tuesday. She feels the surge after a meeting. She wants to replay her tone, the other person's tone, every facial expression. She catches the signal. Same loop. She writes, "Meeting felt off." she stops herself from opening her email to check for a response that isn't there yet. Then she walks to another room and writes one line. Tomorrow, ask for one specific expectation. 2 minutes. Done. The meeting still happened. The uncertainty still exists. But the loop doesn't get to turn her whole evening into a courtroom. A lot of people assume the goal is to stop thoughts. That's not realistic. Thoughts show up. The goal is to stop the automatic behaviors that tell the thought, you run the day now, and to replace them with a small move that restores a sense of agency. That's why step 1 matters. Naming the loop is a boundary. It's a label, not a debate. That's why step 2 matters. Cutting the thread stops the reward cycle. The loop doesn't get fed in the same way. And that's why step 3 matters. Reset on repeat is what teaches your mind that motion exists outside replay. Some nights, the most honest version of this is simple. You sit on the edge of the bed. You say, this is replay. You write text anxiety on paper. You put the phone in another room for 10 minutes. You take 2 minutes to set one reminder for tomorrow. Then you get back into bed. Not calm, just not hijacked. The loop might come back again. That's fine. That's why it's on repeat. You don't need a one-time fix. You need a repeatable response. Over time, the mind learns something subtle. Not that the topic is unimportant. That urgency isn't the same as truth. And if you keep running the same 3 steps, the loop starts to feel less like a trap and more like a familiar noise you know how to handle. Name the loop. Cut the thread. Reset on repeat.